My name's Dana Pollock, and I put together this video because I really wanted to explain longevity and introduce them because I really have had such an incredible experience. My parents have moved into a senior living community, and I'm now the adult child, as I like to call myself, where I'm in charge of my parents. It's been a very overwhelming experience, and I think that John and Michael have been not only able to help my parents on so many levels, but especially financially. They've been able to help my sister and I really navigate this very difficult road, and also really just be there for us every step of the way. At this time, I'd like to introduce John Miller and Michael Mastriani of Longevity. I think it's important to understand what Longevity Income Solutions offers and why you are so unique and to the senior living community or the senior population.
Well, Dana, thanks for putting this together for Michael and myself. I think it is important that we not only tell your story a little bit, but also have an opportunity to explain who we are and how we can be of guidance and planning and provide solutions for other families similar to yourself. We always say you're our biggest supporter, so thanks for putting this together. But Longevity Income Solutions is a long-term care management company that specializes in working with the elderly, especially the elderly that currently have medical conditions. We're able to take existing assets, we try to grow those assets or stretch those assets so that when they have care needs and they have to pay for care, we have created a solution to help them with that solution or with that moment.
Yeah, thank you, Dana, as well. I think it's important to understand that John and I created this company in order to support the families going through this journey. There was a void that when it comes to figuring out how to best pay for the care, and there's a lot that's wrapped up in that process. But what's really important is that there's a proactive approach now that's coming in to support the family and the person that needs the care services to help them get through this journey.
My journey is that we had to move my parents. I should say we chose to move my parents out of their home and not necessarily have the care in the house, which is a big decision to make. And you really need to look at all the different options that are out there. And I think you guys definitely have helped my sister and I and my parents make some very difficult decisions because you've explained to us and really made us look at the whole picture. From really looking at the cost, which is overwhelming, and I like to use the word daunting because it's so astronomical, and really understand those options and what's best for my parents, because let's face it, no one has a crystal ball. No one knows necessarily how long this is going to go on, what the different stages are going to be in the care needs. And I think it's really important, even to the legal documents and the medical documents and all these things that I would have never even known about. So let's just take a moment and explain your approach, and what you're able to do to help people really stretch their dollars and also make important decisions.
John, if I may, I think we start off our process by dealing with the fact that this is an emotional experience for the whole family. It's not just get into the financial piece and get into these different things, is that, we are addressing the fact that all of a sudden mom or dad or whatever your loved one is not able to do or be the person that they had been before. So that's a big part of the process. And then by starting to help work through the whole family, and we bring all the siblings, all the children in, everybody that needs to be or wants to be a part of the process, we start breaking it down and start addressing each of the things to figure out what they have, what's going on with their care needs, and how we can begin to start to take care of that those issues.
And I think it's important also to mention that when we come in and we do this analysis and we sit down and we do the face-to-face meetings, we're not charging particularly for our services to come in and give you this guidance and planning and create financial solutions. Currently, our goal is how do we put a plan in place for somebody that currently already is experiencing medical conditions. It's okay. And by the way, they might be 80, 85, 90 years of age. It is a different approach. We're looking at things in a different capacity than how it's always been looked at in the past. When they were young and healthy, maybe they did some planning, maybe they didn't do some planning.
Yep.
It's okay. And it's okay that you have these medical conditions because we have particular solutions to help pay for the care.
Yeah, I think it's important. You know, you guys always stress, what was the term you guys used? I think it was shortfall. What does that mean?
It's a good point, Dana, about the shortfall. I think that when it comes to the financial piece, the biggest part is trying to figure out how to deal with a number. You said it very well in the beginning, daunting, right? You know, it's $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 a month for this care. And we know generally there's a finite amount of money on the side to be used for that. And there's certain income items that are coming in, Social Security, pensions, and things like that. We specifically address the shortfall as the difference between what the cost of the care is and how much you're guaranteed to be bringing in from the sources that you have. And we are working in that process to then start to narrow down, like John, pardon me, John was going to say this, is it narrowing down and better understanding how to deal with that number.
Right. And I think it's important because, you know, nobody has that crystal ball and is looking and saying, oh, well, this person's going to live for 5 more years and this person's going to live for 10 more years. And oh, by the way, your situation's going to change and now you're going to have to take on even more care because you're in need of a different level of care.
That's a really good point. I think that is something that a lot of families don't take into consideration, is that moment where they first start at a level of care and they know that it's costing me X dollars for that per month, but they don't realize that the levels of care are going to change. And with each level of care that changes is a different cost associated with
Absolutely.
level of care. So by looking at it, and we talk about this shortfall, that money has to be able to be stretched out so that their assets can cover not only the shortfall today, but obviously the shortfall a year, 2 years from now, even 5 years from now. It's a very, that is the one piece that when we sit down, we look and complete an analysis and look at what's your medical condition, what age are you? We take into consideration that things are going to change.
Right. And I think you explained that you have, whether it be an annuity or insurance products or anything like that, that is medically underwritten and it's specifically for the senior population.
I always think you have to be young and healthy to qualify or to get a certain benefit. But we understand when you're 75, 80, 85, there's going to be medical conditions. So what we do is we look at these medical conditions and we take a look at your age and the whole scenario, what kind of care you're receiving. And we're able to figure out and have a solution based on those medical conditions and looking at your age to figure out, can we create an income, a monthly income, a guaranteed monthly income that enables you to be able to cover not only the shortfall for today, but no matter what, because it's going to cover you for the rest of your life. Using those benefits, using those medical conditions is what gives us the ability to create the income that you're going to need.
Yeah, and I think it's really important because it was exhausting. I not only have, my own children, my own family, I have a full-time job, and I'm the adult child now, so I need to make all the decisions, all the medical decisions, all the financial decisions, and I took on so much. It was exhausting. I think I heard the term caregiver fatigue or whatever, certainly is true. And you guys not only helped me and get through this, but you also pointed out to me that we're able to pay for care. That's what you guys are helping us do. And you've justified the extra cost and that my parents can afford it. Because if not, I'm going to burn myself out and be good to nobody. And I think that is so critical because, you know, you get scared. Well, if they run out of money, how are they going to pay for it? I think you've always touched on such a point of it stresses that you should always get the care that you need. And can you touch upon that?
Dana, you said it perfectly. You touched on the fact that there's the sandwich generation of which we're a part. You know, you're taking care of adult children, you know, or younger children, and you still have adult parents that need support. Stress is a huge piece in this process, and we know that very well. I mentioned the emotional toll that we do realize what everybody's going through in this journey with your loved ones. And what we try to systematically do is take care of each of the pieces, take off little chunks, compartmentalize things so they make it this whole process that much easier. And again, relying on us to be a support that can say it's okay to get the care. You have the assets, because caregiver fatigue, another huge one. Sometimes people are doing more than they should be doing, getting burnout from all directions because they don't realize what mom or dad might actually have and being able to use it for, you know, their care. And that's such a big part, especially for husbands and wives and spouses that are dealing with, you know, taking care of the one party, and they're getting sicker themselves when they were supposed to be the healthy spouse. So it's a whole part of the process. And I think what's very important to know is that we're going to come in to be able to start to reduce the stress and make this easier for everyone to digest.
I think it's important to realize that's why Michael and I started longevity. We started longevity because there wasn't one place a family can go and get the answers to their questions. They might be able to have a couple of questions answered on this side by that person, but then there's another person they needed to go to for that other questions. And by the way, they probably were getting charged by that person, getting charged by that person. And we said, listen, we should be a one-stop shop. You should be able to come to us based on our guidance, based on our understanding of what's happening in the senior population. I'm going to date myself, I've been in senior healthcare now over 30 years. So you get to understand all parts of the dynamic of that care journey. So that was why we started this. It was to be able to know that you have one-stop shop to know you can get the answers that you need to your question.
Yeah, and I'm a testament to that because, I mean, I don't, you know, who thinks of power of attorney? Who thinks of medical decisions? I mean, I have just learned a great deal, and I can, you know, I feel that without your guidance, even with helping to activate my dad's long-term care policy that we didn't even know he had, but you guys found when you went through paperwork. I also want to point out that even though we're living through the COVID-19 pandemic at this very moment that we are taping this, I think it's important because I would have never even realized this, but you took my parents' money and you put it into a safe place, I'll call it, and I don't have to worry about the fluctuation of the market.
I think our review, you know, is important to understand where all the assets are, and given the situation with your parents, and the relationship with things that they had going on. Their programs were too risky, and it didn't give them the comfort to know that, again, God forbid something happens, which just did, that they would have taken a significant hit to what the assets they were going to continue to use to pay for their care. So our approach, you know, utilized a couple of different strategies and programs that continued on the income and still offered them growth in a safe environment. You also touched on, I think was great, and I thank you for saying the compliments too, is that the long-term care policies, we've worked with so many families that have come to us because of the fact that we see that the premiums are going up. They're too expensive. And we realize what a valuable asset that can be. It's just giving them strategies on ways to actually make that policy more affordable and keep that as a solid asset to use. And then better yet, when it's time to use them, giving them the guidance to say, it's okay, time to pull the trigger.
All we're doing is addressing a real need based on what's happening in your parents' world, and knowing that we need to be able to know these assets have to be there for a specific purpose, and that we can't worry about is the market going to take a hit or not take a
Yes.
hit? And that to me is our first foremost. Let's make sure the assets are there for when we need them, and that we have the ability to use it as care needs change.
I think you guys say it, what? It's never too late to plan. What? You could be up to 110 years old and it's still not too late to plan. Thank you. And hopefully we can do this again soon.